Hi, and welcome back to the New Zealand Property Podcast for the 150th show. So I had to go out there and get someone really special, but I couldn't find anyone.
Pulled the old boy off the bench, Mark.
Yeah, so I got Aaron, who's been around here for a few times on the podcast. I think he might have been the second or third, actually, before video days.
Forgotten more than most have learnt, my friend, but good to be back. And man, is there some stuff going on in the market?
There is, and that's exactly what we're going to have a chat about today, is the Auckland property market. Sorry if you guys are outside of Auckland, but we don't know your market as well as we do the Auckland. And once we thrash that, then we'll talk about the best ways to sell in this market, because it's a challenging market, isn't it?
Yeah, and in talking with my colleagues all throughout New Zealand, actually, there's pressure everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Buyers are really cautious because they're cautious to buy a depreciating asset, and owners always see their homes in isolation. So they always think theirs is worth more.
Yeah, of course.
And as pressure comes on the market, there's a real difference in the gap, and professionals like you and other people can close it. But the people that talk in coulda, woulda, shoulda, that are living in the past, well, they've got absolutely no chance.
Absolutely. So we're going to have a bit of a chat, and we'll probably challenge each other, because we don't always think exactly the same. And Aaron's the auctioneer, as most of you will know, and he sees things probably slightly different that we see on the other side as a salesperson. But one thing is someone says, what's the market like? It's before Aaron has a go and tells you what you think he thinks the market is. It is different, because it's different if you're sitting there in a just outside the Auckland city at the moment, or Remu area. We had an amazing auction here last week with 85k above reserve. That's different than if you're in South Auckland or West Auckland or first home buyer territory in the North Shore, which is really hot. So it's not there isn't a simple answer. One of my problems probably in life is I see things from every side, and it's a problem, but it's probably a strength as well.
Yeah.
But it is like that, and the market is like that. There is no easy answer. But we'll go from the auctioneer that calls as many auctions as anyone in the country. How are you finding the market, Aaron?
Market's good. And the people say to me, Mark, all the time, what do you think of the market? And they're like, I don't care. Interest rates go up, politics, geopolitical, like it all happens, right? But the market's still there. Properties all throughout New Zealand are still selling, and it's the clever people that want to sell. If you're living in the past, you've got little chance. But it's interesting, you said, I had a ripper. I don't have time in the podcast to give you all the stories, but in the last 3 or 4 days, I've had some outstanding auctions. And then I've had some really bad ones as well. So there's no rhyme or reason, right? How do you value, someone said to me the other day, how do you value indecision? A lot of people, myself included, we're not as confident about, our finances, security and different things. We're all under a little bit of pressure, right? I class myself as middle class. So indecision, man, how do you quantify that? You cannot. If you can get a great result and get sold, or if you can buy really well, good on you. But man, do not be trying to pick the market at the moment.
That's right, and the market is purely what the buyers want to pay for it, right? And that doesn't matter if you're the only buyer, or there's 100 buyers that want to buy it. That's what the buyers have to listen to that market if they want to buy the property, because there's a lot of places around, right?
Correct. I had an auction today with some good friends of our Abby and Richard in Central Auckland, and it was on the market $1,450,000 and it sold for 1,671, right? And the owners were not happy. But at the end, she was crying with joy. And the auction after it, there was only one bidder, and the vendor had to do all the lifting. And they think it's just going to repeat itself. It doesn't. So it's lots of different things. I say this, and I think, sorry, I'm stealing your words, right?
No, all good.
It's about what you can get.
Yeah, it is. It's the market now, and I just come from talking to someone, in fact, and they come back to me 2 years after they first met me, and because they were still thinking their place was what it was worth back in 2021, where developers were paying obscene amount of money and what have you. So they come back, but they're still got their heart set on the figure. And I said, well, I'll go back and have a proper look now. And if we're too far apart, we're not going to waste your time or my time, because they're happy to wait. But they also know that the market, interesting enough, 2 years ago I said to him, the market's going nowhere for at least 2 years. My crystal ball's no better than that. And he said, you nailed it, Mark.
Well, yeah, you got that prediction, mate. Most of mine don't work out.
I'm saying the same, but who knows?
I had someone the other day, but I turned down 1.5 million a year ago and it's a 1,350. And it's like, yeah, great. What are you telling me? You're holding out for 1,250,000 in another year? Oh, we'll just wait. Yeah, but okay, what happens if it's worse?
Yeah.
Don't hold out for worse. If it's enough to move on, move on.
And more so now in any market, that's exactly what vendors have to think. Do I want to move on? Because if they do, they just get the best there is and move on.
And move on. Sometimes you get lucky, right? That auction you had last week, right, just flew and it was great, right? Because people, the emotion, it still happens. But it's... Again, I'm taking your lines before you tell them.
No, interesting enough, that auction was actually quite a good one because there were 5 bidders, 4 only bid, so there weren't 5 bidders. You thought you might have been. But they started so low and they gave nothing away because most buyers now know that usually they've got the strengths in the market right now, right? So they play the game like they were the only buyers, but they weren't. And then eventually they got somewhere close. And then 2 bidders went 100k higher and went 85k over.
And at the start, we're looking at each other subconsciously going, what's going on? What's going on? Mate, we've got it $400,000 wrong. And then all of a sudden, what was it, 45 minutes later? And everyone's happy.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, where the market is, and you have to, every buyer thinks they are the only buyer because it's a buyer's market according to them. And that's what it is. But I'd just like to say that there are some positives in the market.
Plenty. 1,600 properties. There's properties selling. I'm seeing the numbers from Wellington. That's a harder market. Christchurch, the market's always there. It's just the price that changes. And people who bought property 10, 15 years ago, they can take a profit and move on.
Yeah.
It's the ones that we're dealing with, that bought it in 2020, from 2020 to now. If you bought a property, you're probably losing money.
Yeah.
And if you bought in 2021, you, like me, probably going to have to take a bath.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't sell. Don't test the market. Hey.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I haven't worked the stats out, but I've got a gut feeling what I see around here is 1.5 out of 5 properties I can sell for less. You might think it's higher.
No.
Less than they brought because they did buy in that 2000.
Yeah. No. Last year it was 1 in 4. I think it was 24%. This year, I know that's pretty good. This year, I also think it's going to be 1 in 3. But hey.
Yeah, I'm finding actually quite a few buyers actually, like you said, have held it for 12 or 15 years, and they are listening to the market, and that's good. But one of the good news stories is the if we go back, obviously we all know the market went crazy high. They dropped 19.2% after that because we had no buyers when those triple CFA rules come in December 21. There were no buyers to buy properties; they couldn't get finance, and so the good news is, since really January last year, even earlier, buyers have come back, and there are more buyers right now in the market in Auckland than there's been since December 21. But a big but with that is they aren't paying too much for your property. They're starting low, and if there's no one there, they'll get it low or the property doesn't sell.
And the Aussies are starting to come back. They think, some of them, my Australian friends, they're talking to their people, their apex, developer, buyers, speaking. They see New Zealand as a tax haven.
Yeah.
New Zealand!
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Haven. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it's not an easy question. I love what Aaron usually says. We're taking each other's lines today.
No.
But someone asked him, he says, "Tell them it's an interesting market," because that's what it is. It's a hell of an interesting market, and it depends where you are in the market, as in position around Auckland where you are, but also where you are as a buyer, the amount you can borrow, because every story is different at every level. For example, first home buyer market for me is still the hottest market in Auckland at the moment, has been for the last 6 months or so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of first home buyers out there, and they compete. And if you've got something in that category, that $800 to $1 million in the bottom of the North Shore or some parts of Auckland,
and good location,
there's a whole lot of buyers if it's a good location.
And that's the reason why we all have jobs, right? If it was as simple as going, here's the value for your home that a seller, and here's the value from the buyer, and they were always close, we wouldn't need a job. But there's always a difference.
Yeah.
Always a difference.
And I believe now, if someone's telling you that it's a tough market to sell, and it's tougher than it has been. But you just actually got to work as a salesperson. You just get out there and do your thing. No, he's awesome in the background. He's the auctioneer you need to have. But as an agent, a salesperson, you just have to work your ass off to bridge that difference and get that buyer up, because when the market's really hot like it was prior to 21 or in 21, agents didn't have to do anything. We just listed the property and it sold. We didn't have to do anything, and you get the best price. We have to work to get the best price, and I guess we can talk soon or now or a way about that is how is the best way to sell? Ask an auctioneer.
Well, what I've noticed...
Not even just the auctioneer way, but I mean, tell me the reasons why the best things are...
It's the process of high performance, right? And auction's not perfect, and other methods all work fine as well with conditional, but they're not better options, they're just softer ones. And I get people all the time, but these multi-offers, okay, which market are you being shown? I can go out on that street right now and I can convince 3 people to put a really bad lowball offer on anything I like. And so there's a truth around people trust what they see and they trust what they hear. And when it's all said and done, auction's not perfect, but it's the truth and it's real. Everything else is coulda, woulda, shoulda. And you're worried, and you always have to think, what's happening behind closed doors? Like, it's been around for 2,000 years, right? At the end of the day, people sell on other methods too, and that's okay as well. But why not be open to the possibility? That one today, there was over 200 bids when this thing got on the market. And I said to the vendors, you would never have got your $1.6 million, whatever the number was, if that was your reserve. They put it on the market, and these buyers just change their mind, be open to the possibility. And also, but don't focus on the day. I think that's where most people move. It's just that cash on the day, conditional, be in charge, get it sold within that time frame, and deal with professionals.
And that's what I'm seeing when I find a client who's trust the process. It's not about the day of the auction. It's the 3 stages of the auction. And if they get the process, they come to auction day. We had one that didn't sell on Wednesday, and yesterday, and she was brilliant. And she goes, it's just a part of the process. And we go through, we put the price on, and it's a reasonable price. Obviously, you don't even know, we've had 4 or 5 people come in today, plus the other 3 bidders we're dealing with. So hopefully in a weekend it will get to a multi-offer situation. But that's just understanding the process and trusting the process. The agent's told you how it's going to work.
Straight after, because when it's not an auction, it then gets relaunched, right? You get a second bite of the cherry, and you're doing it after 3 or 4 weeks. You're not waiting months of PBN and, here it is, right? Go with the price and then chase the market down. All that auction does is just close the gap and gives transparency to the buyer and gives transparency to the seller. But hey, you either get it or you don't, but most don't, right? Most are nice people, but they are what we call 008s. Do you know what a 008 is?
No, tell us what a 008
It's
is.
a secret agent. No one knows who 008 is.
No one knows who Maxwell Smart, but he really does it, do we?
What was that, Maxwell
Well,
Smart?
yes, 007, wasn't he?
Oh, was it? I don't know. That's James Bond.
No.
Anyway, you get my point. Get my point.
Absolutely. But yeah, certainly, as you said, with the auctions, I guess the one thing you can't beat, and the best auctions are, and we see, I call it the magic of auctions. We see probably one every 2 weeks here or every week, where it's we have those 2 people that you can't get higher for your property. If there's 2 people, if there's 2 people more interested, the auction is no doubt 100% is the highest you'll get for it, because in a multi-offer you're still going back and forwards, and I love it when you're bidding along and they're at 116 or 117. You go, well, it's going to get to 1.2. You might as well go there now. Oh no, I haven't got 1.2. And 10 minutes later, they're bidding at 1.3.
1.2. Well, they go, no. They got time to think about, okay, he did say that number and we'll get to it. Look, it's across New Zealand at the moment, and without boring our listeners, you got a 1 in 3 chance roughly. It fluctuates low 30s to up to 40. In Christchurch, they sit at 50 to 60. Wellington, like if you took New Zealand as a summary of clearance rates every month, let's call it 1 in 3. And if you took everything else across New Zealand, it would end up being 18 to 20%. So it's pretty much double your chances. So which one do you want? Nothing's perfect, but which odds do you want?
I like the shorter rods. I used to, as a young fella, go for the long rods. The shorter rods are good.
I want better odds. I want to sell in a time frame. Anyway.
And in our Monday morning meeting, we have Tama, another auctioneer, who Aaron gets him to read out the figures about auctions around Auckland, and it was this week or last week, and he read out on the average. He reads out the average every week, but the average days of sale, if you sell at auction, was something like 35 or 7 days, and the auctions, if it's PBN, was 58 days.
Yeah.
So you're talking that double again.
Double the time.
It's, yeah.
Because inexperienced agents who are good people, they don't want to do the mahi. They want to hide behind the market. Oh, the weather was bad on the weekend. That's why no one come through. Oh, it's the school holidays. Please. No one likes the house. They don't like your price. Or when the buyer's phoning up regarding the property and the agent says the wrong thing and they don't turn up and they blame the market. No, get a better agent.
Good. Very, very good. Now, there are other ways. He doesn't realise that. There are other ways to sell a property. And deadlines are used sometimes, and a price is important. I want to answer this question, but I'll ask Aaron. Tell us why, and sometimes you can use this, but tell us why PBN or price negotiation just is usually not the way to do it. Especially in this market. It has its time, and I'll tell you, sometimes when the market's going hot and stuff, PBN sort of can work, though then auctions also work a dream. But tell us why PBNs aren't always your friend.
Okay, so it says to the market, usually PBN says to the market that you're not committed to selling, right? You're sort of just dipping your toe in the water. Now, we get a commission from who?
Yeah.
We get a commission from the vendor. So we have to work for the vendor and make the vendor in charge at the best terms and conditions. As soon as you go with PBN, deadline sale, price on this, or any other non-price thing that people have conjured up over the years, all the momentum is shifting to the buyers. They get to put their price and all their marginal conditionals that they can change their minds on, and they can leverage owners and all the coulda, woulda, shoulda. Like it's the purest if you're a professional, your auction or your price.
Yeah. And it gives people time to change their mind. As you said, in the market at the moment, there's so much stock out there. They see something better, and then they'll get out of the first one. We'll keep this video going, even though we're in a bit of an issue here. But we'll keep talking.
And here's the thing too, with all those I'm exactly the same. If I'm putting an offer in at the moment, I will put an offer in based on logic. I'll go to the algorithms, I'll go to AI, and I'll go, right, they all say this, so my number is logical, right? It's not an emotional number. Don't even think for a minute that a buyer is putting an offer into you if you're selling and having your best interest at heart. The buyer doesn't have your best interest at heart. They're trying to buy it as cheap as they can with the worst conditions.
Yeah.
So that's a fact, right? And we publicly give it to them so then they can bid with their heart. And the logic goes out the window.
Yeah.
Anyway, but people that are clever will know that.
Just another reason about PBNs also is if you consider yourself, you're going to start looking at a property in the property market, and most places in Auckland at the moment, or even New Zealand, there's a whole lot of stock exactly the same. So if you go, I don't know, some young ones are a lot more than I think, but if I go 3 or 4 open homes is a lot for a day, and you do that too, there's maybe 8 open homes on a really busy weekend you can go and look at. And if you go and look at, and there's 60 properties there, and there's price, there's auctions, there's a deadline for a week or two, and then there's another 30 PBNs. You don't even know what they're going to. Yes, you don't know. You haven't got time. You go, what have I got to do? All these ones sound about what price I'm looking at. I'll go and see them. So the PBNs quite often don't get a look in because there's too many of them.
And agents deny buyers an opportunity. Because how many times, price on application, how many times are the agent's expectations attached to the vendors? So they go 99999 and the buyer goes, oh, forget about it, and ends up selling at 840 because they've overquoted. Auction, same information, people turn up and owners will accept what they see and they'll accept where the market value is.
Yes.
The worst thing is going with the other processes and you bring owners good offers that are disguised as bad offers. Like, it's just the logic. I'm dumbfounded, but it's, but you know, we know the people that are still doing a lot of transactions, yourself and Lee included, and again, high performance agents, you cannot buy or sell through a part-time cousin auntie who's, respectfully, I use Uber a lot and love it. You know what I mean? A part-time agent just cannot survive.
As I said, you have to be able to negotiate and get the purchases up and know how to get them up and the different types of marketing. So it's understanding how the different marketing portals work too. It's actually utilising that, and that's how we in this office do really well, obviously, with the after auction thing also that week afterwards. But it does say PBN's not for everyone. We do use PBN occasionally. Usually it will be for 2 or 3 weeks only. When we're not going to auction it for some reason. Sometimes we don't want to auction it.
No, it's fine. But yeah, as long as you change after 3 weeks.
As long as you change after 3 weeks, you're going to put the price on. The price is what they want to see, but some properties you don't know. The one I just went and looked at, it's a very unusual property. It could be worth 1.1, it could be 1.4. So I don't want to go and put 1.4 there straight away, because time might tell us the next 3 weeks it's only worth 1.2, and the 1.1 or 1.050 people aren't even going to look at it, and they've dismissed it straight away, and they're not going to look at it again when it comes back on the market. So that's why you don't put a price sometimes straight away. And if you go too low, well, no one's going to pay any more, it might be worth more. So test the market. That's what auction does, and I guess that's what a PBN does for 2 or 3 weeks only. But agents, you must get a price on there.
Correct. And I think the public go wrong because they think the agent's job is to value property. Now, the law says we have to give you an appraisal, but we're not valuers. Our opinions are just opinions. We market and we negotiate, but we are not valuers of property, because real estate is not a science. 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. Sometimes it's 1.5 and it's $1 million. Sometimes 1 + 1 is 3 and it's 1.4.
No, that's 100%. So that's all good.
It's a wrap. Anytime, mate. Look us up on social medias. Details below, Mark.
So love having you on board. Love having your stories. You're a good storyteller. But I'll tell you what, in the back room is, and it's just like a good auctioneer and a good salesperson. It's doing the deal, working for the vendors. I'm sorry if buyers are watching this, but we work for the vendors and we try to get the best deal we can. But the vendors sometimes also have to listen, at the moment, have to listen to the market, or you're not going to sell your home. And that doesn't necessarily it's going to be less. You've got to listen to the market. It might be more, it might be less.
What's a number you can sell for that you not necessarily thought you ever would? And if you can live with that number, move on with your life. Move on.
Exactly.
Always a pleasure. Hey, we might see episode number 300 if you and I are still around.
I'll get important people at the hundreds, mate. I go to anybody's at the 50s.
Okay. If you scraping the barrel, Aaron's always there to put his hand. I'm reassuringly free.
Very good. Hey, thank you very much, Aaron. Thank you again for watching, guys. And yes, every 2 weeks now, and you get him a newsletter every 2 weeks as well. So good to see you. See you soon.
Good intel. Ciao, ciao.